Before I got to RedBalloon, I was working in the most toxic environment I could ever imagine, for a boss that knew nothing about me outside of work. And one night, must have been about February 2007, I was in tears on my mate's couch. This is a 25-year-old in tears about going back to work on Monday morning because he didn't want to be there. And it wasn't because he was in the wrong industry. I absolutely love the advertising world, the idea of creating powerful communications that inspire people, that get people to change their behaviour. The culture sucked in this business. They were paying me well. I was doing the planning job that I'd always wanted to do. And we were kicking some serious goals. Like, we just floated the business on the alternative investment market over in the UK. And in the 11 months that I'd been with the business, we'd taken it from 40 to 180 people. From a little shop in Manchester to 180 people across Europe. It was a really great learning experience. But in tears on my mate's couch, I realised that this wasn't the place for me, because the culture sucked. So I quit with no job to go to and booked a holiday to Australia. And I was reading an article in the Qantas In-Flight magazine, and there was this crazy woman called Naomi Simpson, who was the CEO and founder of a business called RedBalloon. And I read this article, there was this pretty girl, about 40-ish, and she was talking all about this business that she'd built in her front room on the basis that she didn't want to go back to a career in corporate, and she just wanted to have fun at work. And that she'd created this business, and it was turning over a few $1 million, and there was about 20 people that worked there. And she was on this mission, so her vision, to change gifting in Australia forever. And over the next 2 years, she was going to double revenue with the same headcount. She didn't say it would be the same people, but the same headcount. And I thought, I want to work for this chick. So I got back to London and told my mum and dad that I wasn't going to take the job with the property business, and that I was going to go and work in Sydney for RedBalloon. Same night. So this is all, I can't remember the science bit, but you articulate to yourself where you want to end up. It's great. So I told Mum and Dad that I'd got this job at RedBalloon, or had applied, and it was all going to go well and everything else, and then emailed Naomi and said, I'd like to come and work for you. And at the time there was a role going, a 3-day-a-week marketing role. I thought, that sounds good. Change of pace, go and live in the sunshine, meet a hot surfer, settle down. This is all good. Like any small business, the game changes very quickly sometimes. So I'd applied for this 3-day-a-week marketing role, and by the time they were considering my application, it had turned into a full-time general manager with an IT bent to it. Now, I know how to turn on my laptop. I might work for an online business, but I have no idea how to code a website or write a technical brief or anything, or manage a developer or anything like that. But I committed to my family, to myself, and to RedBalloon at that stage, that I was going to work for them. And so, after a couple of conversations, Naomi offered me a job, or offered me the possibility of a job working on their corporate sales team, which is where I have been for the last 4.5 years. So I started and just fell into this beautiful place that immediately I felt absolutely connected to, that my contribution was really going to count, and that we were really going to make a difference. And I suppose what I want to talk about tonight is how being in a culture like that feels for an employee. I very briefly had a team in about my first 6 months at RedBalloon. And I'm not a very good people manager, and I'll get on to how that panned out in a moment or two. But listening to Naomi talk a lot of the time, she comes at it from a leader's perspective, a CEO, and and the major shareholder in the business. And she talks lots about vision, values, and alignment. And I get it. I consult 2 businesses about their vision, values, and alignment and how they say thank you to their staff. But as an employee, if somebody talks to me in that language, do I get it? So yeah, RedBalloon's got this vision, changing gifting in Australia forever, which is pretty powerful stuff. And it's one of the things that really does help me understand why I get so much out of the job that I do. My mates don't understand, particularly the ones in London still, with their swanky apartments, doing jobs with big salaries, with fancy pants job titles. And they're like, you live in Australia, on the arse end of the world, and you sell gift vouchers for a living. What are you doing? And they don't get it. They don't get it. And 4.5 years on, I still get little hairs on the back of my neck stand up when I say I come to work every day to change gifting in Australia forever. And I honestly believe that's why I come to work every day. And I don't question it. And culture's all about appealing to the head and the heart. So there's no doubt that something like changing gifting in Australia forever appeals to the heart. It's a lovely thing to do as well, I was talking to a couple of people before, getting a highly engaged workforce happening and an awesome culture happening, we kind of got a head start on a lot of other businesses in that we sell fun. There's an attitude that you come to work, this is going to be a cool place. But we're a highly numbers-driven organisation. We are databases and systems and servers, and there's a lot of boring stuff that has to happen to make the pretty glossy bit, the fabulous experiences happen for our customers. So we've got this vision, changing gifting in Australia forever. And we've also got a metric around it, because we need to know how well we're doing. And we need to know what we're doing is contributing to delivering on that vision and is making a difference. So when you walk into our offices, we've got this huge scoreboard that sits, and Eloise has been to the office. There's this huge scoreboard that sits up there, and in real time, one of the benefits of being an online business is that we can count our sales in real time and communicate it to ourselves and our wider world immediately. We've got a counter that every time somebody goes on a RedBalloon experience, it notches up one more. And our mission is by 2015 to have sold 2 million RedBalloon experiences. Because we figured if we send 10% of Australia on a RedBalloon experience, we will have changed gifting in Australia forever. Goodness knows what happens when we hit the 2 million mark. We're on 1,130,000, I'm guessing about 36,000 at the moment. And if I had my iPhone turned on, I have an app and I can go to it and it tells me exactly how we're doing. And if I spend a few days out of the office, I will go to the app and see how we're doing. And at the weekend, my other half gets terribly upset. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm telling him, I'm checking to see how much of Australia's been changed today. And then, so we've got this vision thing going on. But for me as an employee, the vision stuff that you need to put into strategy documents and all of that, it's all about purpose. Yeah, that's an employee's word for vision, and how it translates is purpose. I don't sell gift vouchers. I have a purpose about coming to work, and I ask so many businesses, I sit in rooms with HR all the time, and those rooms are named after their business's values, right? Hands up who works in an organisation where they've got meeting rooms named after the values. Yay, there's always one. Are you in HR for the business? No, okay.
Wait,
so,
can you give me an example?
Integrity.
Oh,
perfect.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not in Wall Street, Liverpool Street.
It's funny. So you sit in these meeting rooms called integrity or accountability, and you ask the HR team, what are your values? They don't know. so there's no connection. And so, so for the record, our values at RedBalloon are integrity, leadership, generosity, sense of humour and fun, and my favourite, little dog with a big dog attitude, which I love. Because, we're changing gifting in Australia, and we're 50 people. We've got a big job, and you need that attitude. It's interesting, the similarities between the language that we use. And I think, and I'll jump about a bit, but language, when you're creating culture in the workplace, is so important. The fact that our HR team isn't called HR at RedBalloon, it's called the Employee Experience Team. It goes to reinforce what they are there for. They are not there to manage us as resources. They are there to make sure that our experience of RedBalloon is awesome. And they're there to make sure that the experience of RedBalloon before you get there as a candidate or as somebody that is sniffing around and might be interested in working for us in a few years' time is awesome as well. With 50 people in the building, 2 of them are dedicated to employee experience. Now, I've got clients who've got 500 or 600 people in their business with HR teams of the same size. So the commitment that we have to creating and maintaining and developing an awesome culture is resourced, but it's also there. It's also there in our language, and you feel really loved knowing that there's an employee experience team backing it all up for you. So one of the other things that we do around language at RedBalloon is we have promises. I don't have any KPI. I'm in sales, right? Ostensibly. I don't have KPIs. I make promises to the business. It's pretty cool.
Do you choose them?
Yeah, we do. Every 4 months, we sit down with our manager and we get to write 3 promises. And, so
what are yours?
What are mine? At the moment, I've got a promise around developing a consulting practice, and there's some numbers around that, but they're numbers that I created. I've got a promise around thought leadership, and I'm developing a project around that. And we all have a promise around grow, which is our kind of phraseology for learning and development. And there's things that I'm committed to delivering around that. They put the money where their mouth is, though. If you don't complete your promises, I don't get my bonus. And it's happened once. I nailed it from a sales point of view. And Gemma, our general manager, who's now the CEO, had to sit me down and say, it doesn't matter that you've achieved 100 and whatever % of your sales target. Can't pay you your bonus because you've not done one of your promises. And I know a lot of other businesses that if their sales gun is nailing the numbers, the values go out the window. It doesn't matter that they're not connected to the business. It doesn't matter that they're not playing the team game because they're delivering the revenue, and that's all we want, mate. And it hurt, right? But some people have said to me, well, does that mean that you play really small with your promises next time round to make sure that they're easily deliverable? Absolutely not. It just means that you wake up and go, it was about 9 months into my career at RedBalloon. It was like, wow, that's taken my connection to this business and my appreciation that they stick to what they say to a whole new level.
Keep their word.
And keep their word.
So did they make promises to you?
They do make promises to every employee about what it's going to be like to work there.
They take you on a lot of holidays.
They do take us on a lot of holidays.
We promised to take you on a lot of holidays.
So this is we were up on Fraser Island recently. We took the whole team away for 3 days because we hit our stretch target for FY11. And it was a big stretch target, right? It was 20% growth year on year on top of our kind of team targets. I mean, it's big stuff, big stuff. Like we grew 54%. For a 10-year-old online business, we grew 54% year on year in FY11. It's unheard of. Right? And this year's target's 40% growth. We are on the way to doing it. And we don't do it by investing in a whole heap of expensive new technology and throwing loads of marketing spend around by making ads and shoving them on TV. Like you'll hear us on radio, key gifting times and those sorts of things. We pump all of our resource into making sure our employees are totally engaged, totally happy in their roles, and are just playing all out to deliver the growth. And we don't work crazy hours to do it. We're just really focused. Like people deliver promises, they miss KPIs. Think about where else in your life you make promises. You know, when you're standing at the altar, if you're that way inclined, or you make promises to your best mate. But
You bribe your kids.
you bribe your kids, yeah. But like having that language in place means that you have people commit to achieving their promises. I'm going to talk you round. We've got grown up recently because we keep winning these awesome awards like Hewitt Best Employer and top 10 places to work in Australia and all of these sorts of things. You'd hope we do because we spend an awful lot of time telling other businesses how to create awesome cultures. So we need to practice what we preach in that sense. And Megan, who's our employee experience manager, we kind of sat her down and said, we need you to structure what the employee experience at RedBalloon is all about. And it has 6 pillars to it. And they are welcome, flow, tools, grow, appreciate, and well-being. And we can, if you're interested and you're managing teams and you want to understand how they all work, we can make all that available. But I thought I'd just take you through each of the 6 from my perspective about either how you're made to feel welcome or what our recruitment process looks and feels like, and how those other pillars work and how they've played out. And this will be quite personal, but how they've played out for me. And I think the biggest learning about how you get people engaged is it has to be, regardless of whether you are we're 50 people, right? Regardless of whether you're a 3-person business, a 50-person business, or a 30,000-person business, you've got to be brave enough to take on your employees as individuals, as opposed to lines on a spreadsheet. Or blank faces with revenue numbers above their head if you're managing a sales team. I remember one of my first jobs out of uni, in terms of understanding people, it really, now I work in the engagement space, it really got me clear. Like I recall the moment. I'd taken a graduate job when I didn't get the DDB one. I'd taken a graduate job which is a food, I am a big foodie. You'll hear more about that in a minute. I'd taken a graduate job with a big supermarket in the UK with a view to becoming a buyer for them. I thought, how cool would it be to just spend your life travelling around the world, tasting awesome product and deciding whether it does or doesn't get on the shelf. This sounds cool. And so for the first part of their graduate programme, you spend some time in store. And I quit after 2 weeks when I wasn't allowed. We were opening a new store in Manchester's city centre, and it was just kind of a few weeks before the store opened, so there were builders going in and out and everything like this. And the door was always open, but like there were products on the shelves, but customers thought that we were already open for business. And I took the initiative as a trainee manager to handwrite a sign, because we didn't have any IT on site to print anything out. We will be open on whenever it was, and blue tack it in the window so that customers didn't get pissed off that they were 2/3 of the way into the store and then being ushered out. There you go. There's the counter when we hit 1 million recently. And I was told off for taking initiative, but the manager, the area manager, he didn't know my name. This was 10 days after I'd started in the business, and had sat in 3 induction sessions with him and 2 other trainees while he'd been going through the manual of how to induct somebody into the culture, and he still hadn't taken the time to know my name. So that lunchtime, he found me walking with Sod's Law. We bumped into each other in the street, and he said, "Shouldn't you be back in the store?" And he said, "No, I've just left." And he said, "What do you mean you've just left?" And I said, I don't want to work for this. It's awful. it's awful. And he said, "Oh," and I said, "You don't know my name." And he didn't know my name when we bumped into each other in the street. Never spoke to them again. They paid me for the 10 days that I'd been there, which I guess was good of them. At least one of their systems worked. Their personality certainly didn't. Where was I going with this? So yeah, the employee experience, it's about making, number one, it's about making people feel welcome. When we recruit people, so I slipped in under the wire, so I've only experienced this as a team member. But when we recruit at RedBalloon, it's a team effort. So about 9 months in, when I had inadvertently been put into this position where I was managing the corporate team, the general manager said to me, she said, "What's wrong? You're not happy." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not a people manager." She said, "Right, or I don't have time because I want to be with clients." And there was a team of 6 people that needed looking after. So she said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want a boss." "Okay, we'll get you a boss." And RedBalloon, it's just such a different way of having people come and work in the business. So we do we do group interviews. So if you apply for a job at any level, you come in, and this is Dexter, head of security. He's Naomi's dog, and he comes into the office most days with her. And if you're lucky, you get to take him for a walk occasionally. We do these group interviews, and from the group interviews, and it really is a discussion. So it's like, what are you reading on TV? What are you reading? What do you watch on TV last night? And we have 10 people around the table with a couple of RedBallooners. And then we choose 2 or 3 of them to come back for further interview. And it's basically under the guise that if they don't create a conversation, and there's no real rules to that meeting, and they're told that you're coming in to meet 9 other people that have also applied for the job. And we just want to see how it goes. And some people say that they're not coming in for that meeting. Well, they're not a RedBallooner if they don't want to take on that kind of connection with each other. So then they come through, and you go for a meeting with the recruiting, with the hiring manager. And generally, he or she will pick 2 or 3 candidates who then get to meet the whole team that they'll be working on. So, cut the story short, I got to choose my boss out of 2 people. And it was a team decision, and we talk it all through. But in terms of hiring the right type of people, and if they get to meet the team and interact with the team before it all happens, it's great. We also have them come into the business before they actually start. So we had our 10th birthday party last week, and there were 3 newbies, some of which started on Monday, and they'd been to a company meeting. So first Tuesday of every month we have a full-on company meeting, all 50 people, and we all have lunch together, and then we do kind of a download of what's going on in different parts of the business. So you get to come to at least one company meeting before you actually start in the organisation. So you've had lunch with 5 or 6 people out of 50 before your first day, so there's some familiarity going on. And yeah, it's just all about making sure that people feel welcome when they come into the business. So it's been instilled in you before you get to RedBalloon how important our Changing Gifting in Australia vision is, and how important the big number that goes round on this big screen is. But on your first day, we take over the screen and put welcome to whoever. So it's like, wow, You removed the big number for the day, just for little old me. That's important. Like, you are absolutely important. But also it helps the other 49 people remember the newbie's name for the whole day. Because how awkward is it when you're in the kitchen and you're like, they're new. This would never really happen at RedBalloon, but they're new, I don't know their name. They sit like 7 desks away from me, so I'm never going to talk to them anyway. And so you don't connect. Like, just, you know, it's all about making it as easy as possible for people to connect with each other.